So we've got two more today. Ted is up. I've enjoyed working with Ted all year long, talking about buy now, pay later. It's not something I don't really know about in America. I just know credit cards, right? But anyway, Ted says, this is what Ted says. He says, I would like to thank my advisor, Miss Maymay, for guiding me this whole year on my thesis until the day of presentation. I would also thank Mr. Wade as being my rhetoric teacher, has taught us and guided us with kindness and love for this whole year. Maybe if the rhetoric teacher is not Mr. Wade, I may be in lots of trouble. Thank you. Lastly, I would like to thank God, my parents, and other teachers who have helped and supported me in this thesis paper. Ted's title is A Deal with the Devil, Unmasking the Risk of Buy Now, Pay Later. I'm going to set up the timer, and I'll tell you when you can start, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, you can start.
Picture this. It is the 10th of October, browsing on Shopee Midnight Sale in search of the perfect product. And then, seeing precisely what you want with a 50% discount. However, you cannot pay the full amount, and before your eyes appear a captivating payment, buy now, pay later. There is no interest and lots of restriction. With just one click, the item is yours. What? A feeling of paradise. Nevertheless, everything is just a deception. What starts small may lead into an unmanageable mountain of debt with no oversight, resulting in financial stress, depression, and dehumanization. Secondly, not paying off buy now, pay later debt damages your credit score. Low, a final year student in tech, has spent his life constructing with discipline, saving over $100,000 while balancing work and school. When he tried to apply for a mortgage to buy a small apartment for his aging parents, he was shocked when his application was declined. The reason? A $16 unpaid buy now, pay later and student loan has quietly depleted his credit score. Despite doing everything right, Lowe's dream was shattered by a faceless figure on screen, a score that could not see his sleepless night, intention, and sacrifice. One misstep has cost him a future he has worked tirelessly to achieve. Welcome to Buy Now, Pay Later, which offer a promising deal but ultimately entrap consumer into financial hardship. This is just one real-life cases among thousands of cases that reveal the danger of buying now and paying later. The final question remains, does buy now, pay later really provide consumer instant gratification or it sacrifice their financial future? Credit terms was first introduced back in the Mesopotamia era. It was first used as a transaction between the neighboring merchants from Harappa, where they acquired the good now but settle for the payment later. The evolution of credit payment continued until the first invention of credit cards in the 19th century, the Frank McNamara Diners Club card. The evolution of credit payment accelerated significantly since the rise of digital technology, starting from the rise of e-wallets that make the young generation more familiar with digital devices. In addition, COVID-19 pandemics boost e-wallets payment due to hygiene and practicality issues. During the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, online shopping has surged globally, with over 85% of the world population making online purchases, and a usage growing by 40%. In Indonesia, e-commerce users thrive to 88.1% as being the highest in Asia, and Shopee led through Shopee Pay Later with 55.08% of e-commerce users. The trend in modern lifestyle, such as busy lifestyle, social media through promotion, and fear of missing out, drives impulsive buying. With buy now, pay later, people spend 6.42% more on average. By definition, buy now, pay later represent a type of future debt that enables consumer to buy and pay for the goods later. The misuse of buy now, pay later have become a common phenomenon nowadays due to the growth and influence of digital technology. The offer through buy now, pay later draws in consumer, especially middle-low income consumer, encouraging them to spend more than they should. Imagine traveling to the United States with full of enjoyment, taking in its beautiful nature, savoring Texas barbecue, and watching NBA games, but commit to pay the bills later. All the joy happiness, and pleasure will be gone in just a split of a second when the bill of notification appear. Instead, it will transform into a stressful and burnout situation. Even though pay later carry risks, Indonesia regulate buy now pay later in Article 1, Number 3, concerning about information-based technology money lending services, supported with terms and conditions and strict sanction. If the buyers fail to pay the bills, the e-commerce account may be frozen, and they will lose access to pay later feature. The growth of buy now pay later have affected society negatively, encouraging unwise and immature financial management behavior. Therefore, the use of buy now pay later should be highly discouraged for 3 reasons. First, it leads to financial stress. Second, it threatens business life. And last, it leads to psychological impact. In the era when immediate satisfaction influenced consumer habit, the use of buy now pay later has become a growing concern, especially among the young generation who often overlook the long-term consequences of unmanageable short-term spending freedom. Jay has enjoyed using buy now pay later since he can acquire anything. One day, he's flooded by emails and debt has accumulated. Jay becomes mentally exhausted and stressed and can stay calm in his studies. He fails school and focuses to pay debt, shattering his teenage years. With that, the restriction on the use of buy now pay later should be highly encouraged because buy now pay later misuse triggers economic constraint and decline in living standard. Research from Cornell University highlights that buy now pay later has created an incentive for consumer spending and debt accumulation through a liberal rule offered by buy now pay later, such as no interest payment, which can lead to users neglecting their expenses. Additionally, a study by Folk McNeil reveals that females more likely than males to use buy now pay later for impulsive purchases. With women who use buy now pay later, they spend 10 to 15% more on average. People must be more cautious with buy now pay later, as debt not only harms individuals but also affects society by lowering productivity and potential. Moving on to the next argument, families' economic condition could collapse and the quality of life could suffer from financial disaster. In Indonesia, buy now pay later debt for families has reached a high amount, which is 26.37 trillion in August 2024. The debt amount for families in Indonesia is not insignificant. It has reached a high amount where these people are struggling to pay the debt. Investigating more deeply, the debt traps created by irresponsible spending impact not only individuals, but also future generation and the nation growth. When families face financial hardship, children are often forced to skip learning and development, leading to a generation that lack of skills for future work and innovation. This generation gap destroys the economic cycle of the country and burdens the youth with debts, making it harder for them to focus on building a better future. The growing popularity of buy now pay later usage has led to a greater probability of economic crisis, resonating back to the housing crash in 2008 in the United States. The similar patterns here were just as subprime mortgages allowed unqualified borrowers to purchase overpriced homes, and just like buy now pay later that justify unqualified borrowers to consume impulsively without understanding the long-term consequences. Obsession with status and lifestyle had led most individuals to pay greater attention to shopping than to finances, borrowing more than they should. As the amount of debt rises among society, debts create a fragile economic bubble sustained by banks and investors who seek to profit them from the short-term demand. Once the demand decreases and the bubble bursts, just as it did in 2008, borrowers will be unable to repay, interest rates will rise, and the economy may sink into another recession. However, in the housing crash, individuals still own some of their assets, unlike buy now pay later, where individuals are left with no asset, making it potentially more harmful. Moving to the next argument, looking in a deeper scope, buy now pay later raises concern about its long-term impact on individual business life, especially fashion business. The implementation and reliance on buy now pay later can trigger a race to bottom in the fashion business, where price takes priority rather than quality. In 2022, 63.5% of Buy Now Pay Later users reported purchasing clothing using these services. Buy Now Pay Later is frequently used to find a low-cost transaction, specifically for fashion purchases, where 75% are millennials. Businesses lower price, cut production costs, and rely heavily on promotion to gain consumer attention. This short-term strategy led to consumer dissatisfaction, weakens brand loyalty, and makes it difficult for company to survive in the long run. For example, Forever 21 in Indonesia is unable to maintain quality and consumer trust due to price wars. Ultimately, relying on buy now pay later threatens brand future and damages its reputation. Moreover, buy now pay later causes businesses to truly focus on the present situation and short-term thinking, rather than future improvement, leading to a lack of innovation and solving current problems, and also improving current product. As businesses engage in price war to stay competitive, they lose profit and long-term growth and have minimal room for improvement or investment in innovation. Real-life examples such as JCPenney and Patas Ritex show how lack of innovation and poor financial strategy and planning can lead to massive losses or even bankruptcy. This situation specifically will damage the small businesses, which will be difficult to compete against the large firm who has a fixed position in the market. At last, buy now pay later does not only affect businesses, but either creates more problem and threatens healthy competition and societal well-being. Thirdly, buy now pay later accelerated the fast product life cycle in the fashion industry, encouraging more consumption and rapid product turnover. Brands such as Zara has had a fast product life cycle with a change in every 3 months. However, after digitalization has become popular and there is the implementation of buy now pay later, such as in Shopee and Boohoo, product life cycle shifts to only few weeks. Buy now pay later enables consumer to buy fashion product at the point of time without considering long-term usage or cost. This causes companies to face increased production expenses without reaching the full demand, ultimately impacting profitability and sustainability. In addition, consumers are pressured to always keep up with the trend that further causes debt accumulation. In the end, buy now pay later leads to a harmful cycle for both business and the society. Using buy now pay later irresponsibly is like filling a backpack with heavy rocks while hiking. It seems nothing initially, since you add one rock at a time. But as you continue, the weights build up, making it you hard to walk and disrupting your journey. It is like borrowing happiness today, but pay for the stress tomorrow. Buy now pay later will affect psychologically and would likely to transform people's habit and gratification. Buy now pay later is transforming consumer habit by promoting people to feel that they are able to purchase that before were beyond their reach, leading to the temptation of impulsive buying and gratification-driven behavior. The phenomenon is most prominent among young consumers who are instant gratifiers and lifestyle upgrades, even though it means risking their financial stability. As spending rises and self-control falters, the majority fall into a debt trap that is hard to escape, leading to a long-term emotional and psychological consequences. What seems convenient in the beginning ends with a hard financial situation when it's not backed up with wisdom and self-control. Next, overconsumption through buy now pay later leads to stress and anxiety. A survey in the United Kingdom indicates that 49% of buy now pay later users regret using this feature and experiencing financial crisis or stressful situation. The data from ShopeePay shows that a debt of 10 million rupiah can rise to over 24 million rupiah in just a year due to high penalty and interest charges. There has been a real-life example where a 23-year-old individual named Jordan from the United Kingdom bought a 200-pound winter coat via buy now pay later while working. Following his job loss, he found it difficult to manage the payment, resulting in debt collection effort and considerable stress. Jordan stated that buy now pay later may be somewhat dangerous as they might unintentionally promote the build-up of debt. Buy now, pay later possesses risk, as individual debt prevents the peaceful and prosperous life that every person deserves. Theodore Munger once said, "Debt is the secret foe of theft, as vice and idleness are its open foes. The debt is the twin brother of poverty." Last, buy now, pay later leads to dehumanization and the inability to maximize happiness, according to Abraham Maslow, self-actualization of stages and identity. Buy now, pay later disrupts the fundamental of self-actualization by promoting impulsive buying that bypasses basic psychological needs like economic security and mental well-being. Research from the National Academy of Science revealed that relieving debt for low-income people resulted in enhanced cognitive abilities and decreased anxiety, indicating that financial stress can negatively affect mental performance. Additionally, studies show that buy now pay later services can alleviate the pain of payment, promoting consumers to spend beyond their original plans, potentially causing financial strain and mental overwhelm. Without fulfilling the fundamental needs, individuals collapse in the beginning of the journey and were unable to gain the maximum potential in life. Aside from the arguments that support why we should not use buy now pay later, some people might argue that low-income people require emergency money to cover their basic needs. Although it is true that buy now pay later give a direct solution and simple solution for those in it, the bottom line is that what feels free now will cost you later. There are much more safer solutions exist for meeting basic needs, such as food bank and poor cards. In the United States, the government provides the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programs to help the poor American citizens. In 2023, SNAP lifted approximately 3.4 million people out of poverty, including around 1.3 million are children. It also influenced households where, according to the data, around 13.8 million households receive SNAP benefit, with approximately 6.7 million having children under 18. In addition, in Indonesia, the governments provide poor cards that offer them social assistance and healthcare when needed, and also a free lunch program for the student given each day. This means that at least the most basic need, the government provides support in a developed country. Other people might say that if someone can manage spending, won't it be permissible for them to use buy now pay later? However, people who are responsible do not rely on buy now pay later, since they recognize how useless the pay later feature is. Short-term gain, long-term pain. Responsible people possess credit cards, which provide many more privileges, such as collecting points that can be exchanged for a better use. In Indonesia, around 2% of the wealthiest 60% of Indonesians reported owning a credit card. However, Indonesia still maintains one of the lowest percentage of people who hold credit cards. Countries such as Thailand, Malaysia exhibit a much higher percentage of people possessing credit cards, with around 80%. A well-educated financial background knows which type of payment they should use. Throughout this thesis, we have examined why we should not use buy now pay later, starting from the most extensive scope that harms society, then narrowing its focus to how it disrupts business life, and ultimately how it impacts individuals mentally and physically. Buy now pay later may appear efficient in the short term. However, in the long-term perspective, it burdens both individual and the buy now pay later providers, potentially triggering another global recession. Falling to the conclusion that the use of buy now pay later is not a solution for people's economic condition. Instead, it worsens their financial situation for both individual and the nation. Maxwell claimed that there are two paths people can take. They can either pay now and play later, or play now and pay later. Regardless the choice, one thing is certain: life demands a payment. Referring back to a student browsing a shopping app and discovering the product you have wished for, you find yourself seized with that product you've ever wanted, the product you've dreamed of buying. Your heart is racing. However, you pause, questioning if your pocket could handle the cost or you should add just one more payment to your list of debt. In a split of second, desires speak louder than sense. Flash forward to several months afterward, you're swimming in bills, burnout, and stress. It's all for a trend you barely remember. All the joy and happiness is lost, but the burden remains. One rotten apple will spoil the whole barrel. Hence, what should we do to avoid bad financial habit caused by buy now pay later? First, let us prevent buy now pay later regardless our economic condition. Second, we should not be overwhelmed with social trend. However, we should remember our own financial limitation. Social trend will keep on emerging, yet we as individuals know our limit on what we can and cannot afford. Last, we should enhance in our financial literacy, seek education, and engage with the experienced individual to broaden our economical knowledge. In other words, let us be more concerned, cautious, and caring, both for society and ourselves, for a better future. Thank you.
Good job, Ted. Our panelists today are Miss Anita and Mr. Joel. Miss Anita, would you like to ask questions first? Mr. Joel. Okay.
Hi, Ted. That was awesome. Great job. You did. I appreciate your memory. You memorized your beginning, your opening, your exordium, and your conclusion. It was very good. And I even wrote down a few of the phrases. One rotten apple will spoil the whole bunch. Right. You're working in the metaphors, that common wisdom to present this. I thought it was very persuasive and articulated well. Thank you so much. I have a list of questions. I want to ask first about the Cornell study that you cited. There was a Cornell study talking about declining living standards, and that is created by the burden of debt.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain more what that study showed
Okay.
you?
And thank you, Mr. for the question. In that study, it's like showing the statistic of people using buy now pay later, and like there's like the reason why people use buy now pay later, like for example, emergency needs or like for our own goods and other stuff, and like it in the conclusion part it say that like buy now pay later is used by most people since due to the low restriction in using it. Uh, my from my experience, last week I applied for the GoPay Pay Later, and to apply that feature, GoPay just asked me to take a photo scan of my KTP. It's like the kartu tanda penduduk, where every Indonesian have when they're in the age of 17. After we scan our KTP and then insert it in the document as by GoPay, we just need to wait for our verification, and you can use directly the pay later feature. And for me, I was given 30 million rupiah for the limit per month, where for me actually this might be dangerous since like I'm still 12th grade. I have no like fixed income, maybe like on the money that my parents give, like, but it's a little for each month. Yeah.
Following your example, I like that you tested this out, and you're also kind of testing out this buy now pay later. Your research. What was the bunga, the interest rate that they were going to give you and charge you onto that 30 juta?
Like maybe it may be different according to the company. Since like initially there's like Kredivo, Aku Laku, and then like Shopee Pay later, Traveloka Pay later, and GoPay Pay later. But what I know is from the Shopee Pay later, where if we have a late payment, we'll get an interest charge of 2.9% and an additional charge of 5% each month. So like it's around 7.9% each month.
I wanted to ask also, you cited Indonesian regulations that they actually will freeze your bank account if you're abusing the credit system or something. Could you explain that? Because I'm not familiar with the regulations.
So like according to like the from OJK in Indonesia, like it states that if we fail to pay the bills, we will lose access to the pay later feature, right? But I think it's not really happening in Indonesia since like buy now pay later is a new feature. Like we say, maybe it started to get popularized after the COVID-19 pandemics, and maybe as the government of Indonesia, they did not expect this such crazy demand of buy now pay later in the market. So like uh, they will also be confused to uh, give lost access to the users of buy now pay later. Since like in Indonesia, like there is 48 million who has buy now pay later account.
Okay, so you discovered kind of a flaw in the mechanism it's a protection to shut down people that are abusing it or people that are mismanaging it, but it's not getting shut down.
Yeah.
That's an interesting discovery through your thesis research. That's helpful to know. I also wrote down. I appreciate your compare and contrast of the subprime mortgage lending, the 2008 housing crisis out of the U.S. And how you contrasted that. The difference there was they're loaning on assets. There's collateral.
Yeah.
This is non-collateralized debt, right?
Yeah.
So it's even riskier. I appreciate that analogy. Yeah, I thought you spoke well. You defended it with good rhetorical answers. I would like to hear maybe finally one other source of your research that applies maybe directly out of Indonesian research, because you referenced SNAP, kind of food bank, kind of those kind of things. Those are out of the U.S. Those programs are. So what does Indonesia provide, and are those? You said that is a possible solution to this other borrowing.
Okay. Firstly, I use SNAP in my refutation to show like America is like one of the most advanced country right in this world. So like I wanted to show that like in the most advanced country, the government will care for their citizens. However, in Indonesia, it's still counted as a developed country. So like maybe the government still like have several focus on uh, doing their things such as like maybe building infrastructure or others. So maybe the government can only provide like several solution, like the what I say the poor cards. So like it helps that poor cards help the poor citizen like to gain, for example, like healthcare. For example, we're in emergency that we need to go to the hospital. The government can help with health assistance for us. And maybe like now, Indonesia, there's like lots of outside society, rather from the government, that like help social assistant. Like maybe in my parents' company, like every several months or years, we help like people like in the orphanage or somewhere else. Yeah.
That's great. I find your second point the most compelling out of your three claims, your three proofs, that this race to the bottom is actually damaging businesses. It's unhealthy business-wise. It's creating an unhealthy level of competition. It's a credit race, actually. It's motivating and incentivizing more and more debt.
Yeah.
And it's not actually lending to innovation, and it's not helping businesses reinvest into their own business. So we're not creating good quality products. We're just we're fueling debt bubbles.
Yeah.
I think that point is a strong claim. That
Okay.
is
Thank you, sir.
For me, Ted, I think adding Texas barbecue into your speech gives you extra points. I mean,
thank you.
I would use buy now, pay later if there were Texas barbecue right here. Go ahead, Anita, your turn.
Hello, Ted.
Hi, Miss.
I enjoy your performance, your gesture, your intonation, stage performance is very captivating and very good. And I'm very excited and thrilled because of your topic. Since I don't know whether you know or not, but before working here in CBCS, I was a senior banker. So I'm thrilled that there is a younger generation that aware about financial literacy. I also like when you mentioned about a little bit history behind credit card, the Diners Club, yeah. And I think overall you know what you're talking about, and I think that's very great. I have several questions actually. My first question: do you know how many percentage of non-performing finance of BNPL in Indonesia? Non-performing finance means in Indonesia it means credit macet or BNPL that is not paid since they cannot pay for
Okay.
it.
Right in my thesis, thank you, Miss, for the question. Right in my thesis, I say in August 2024, the debt is 26.37 trillion, and like after I search again, like through these years, it already increased to like 30 something trillion, and they say that these people are struggle to pay the debt, and like when it's 26.37 trillion, well, it's 8% of the state budget of Indonesia. So like uh, yeah, maybe that may answer your question.
Okay, it's all right. So even if you don't know, I want to let you know that maybe it's a little bit different, but I don't know, you can check though. So per February 2025, it's actually the outstanding or the amount of money that people borrow from BNPL is around 21.88 trillion rupiah. But the only non-performing financing, which is the one that they cannot pay, is around 723 billion. So it's less than 5%. So it means 95% can pay well. So how would your argument change if you considered people who use BNPL responsibly and pay on time?
Like for me, what I highlight in this thesis is, I think, not about people whether they can pay the amount of debt they have in buy now pay later, but like I'm like criticizing the buy now pay later feature itself. I think the buy now pay later feature itself did not like give enough consumer protection for the users. And like I think from like what my personal experience in GoPay, like it's really tempting me to keep on using buy now pay later. Since like if I want to go food something to my home, the payment option that directly appear is the buy now pay later rather than my own money. And also also uh, wait, miss, I want something to say.
Tenang, calm.
Later. Mm. Oh yeah, just like maybe like even though like people who work like the story from Jordan, he was buy now pay later, right? Maybe today we're having like a job, like for example you're becoming a teacher, but however like in the next several weeks or months, no one will know whether you still have your job or you may lose. Yeah, you may like, yeah, for I mean, not only for teacher, but like for everyone in this world. Like, no one knows about their future, whether they still have job or they might lose job. So I think there should be like financial calculation also for the future. Since like in the Bible did not say debt is a sin, but like it is a sin when we buy that is not according to our needs and we cannot pay the debt. Yeah.
Okay. It's fine. I mean, yeah. My job is getting threatened. But yeah, anyway, in your thesis as well, you also mentioned that credit card is better. Is it correct than BNPL? I mean, it's safer credit card than BNPL. But still, yeah. Why do you think credit card is better than BNPL? Because both are unsecured loan. Unsecured means without collateral. So in the terms of risk, I think it's still the same.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Miss. First, in my thesis paper, I write that for the interest rate for credit cards for BCA, Bank Central Asia, is 1.75% each month. And like for the late payment fee is only 100,000 rupiah, unlike buy now pay later that is 5% of the debt amount. And then secondly, to apply for credit cards, there are like several steps and procedure we need to pass, like the BI checking, where it's the Bank of Indonesia that holds the credit score for all of the Indonesian citizens. And also, there is a minimum age of 21 to apply credit cards. And I think credit cards give those cards to a credible person, since like in credit card they also ask like the income of each of us. So like if for example our income is like 5 million, they will not like give the limit more over than 5 million, unlike buy now pay later.
Actually, it's most likely for the secured loan. Usually, they will not give any plafond or like the amount of money that you can borrow above, like the installment above your monthly salary or monthly income. But okay, well, it's actually your answer is I think you can add like a little bit information to incorporate all the data better with the latest information, but I know it's a little bit technical, but I appreciate your answer. And then on to your second point. In your paper you mentioned about Forever 21 bankruptcy, and then the biggest factor is they couldn't compete with online store. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So, well, but don't you think it's just because they compete with the price, not because the BNPL? Because in the retail store nowadays, let's just say not Forever 21 because I never shop there. Let's just say H&M, and you can use buy now pay later in H&M. You can use I think Shopee Pay Later, but you can use also, if you know, I don't know how to pronounce that. Is that Atom? Atomi or like whatever it is, but yes, you can do BNPL as well. So my question is, how can business adapt to changing consumer behavior without falling into price war traps?
Like so like for the Forever 21 collapse, I'm saying like it they lost against like the online shop like Shopee and Tokopedia others. It's like maybe if we open Shopee, like if we search to buy clothes, there's like the price of the clothes is like much cheaper at first, and then like there's like various of price, right, even in Shopee. Like for example, for the same amount, same product, even there's like the price, for example, like 100,000, but someone else like sell it for 95,000. So like maybe do Forever 21 closed because of the loss of price, and I think this price war can be caused by buy now pay later, since like buy now pay later changed people mindset where from before they cannot afford to a mindset that they feel that they can afford at that time. So like it increased competition in the business where business will fight in the marketing strategy to gain the consumer attention.
Isn't it actually the opposite of like BNPL can support businesses? Since what I say that you can use BNPL in retail and offline with low interest as well, with promo or cashback or discount, then isn't it like the opposite way?
But like I feel buy now pay later only efficient in the short run, but not like for the long run. Since like the users of buy now pay later, if like I see in Indonesia, it's mostly the Generation Z, which mean in the age between 20 something. Generation Z is from like 1997 to 2012, right? Yeah, and like most of the population that use buy now pay later is the Generation Z, which have which categorized as like people who are lazy to work. So like yeah. Yeah. It's okay, miss. I also counted it when yeah, so like maybe that stereotype is already like discussed by every people in this country. So like maybe that might be dangerous if they use buy now pay later.
Okay, time is actually
Thank
up.
you. I want to give fun fact a little bit. The
Okay,
one
go
who
ahead.
cannot pay the loan is actually baby boomers. But yeah. Anyway, yes, but the most used BNPL is generation, yeah, Gen Z, which is good job. Well done, Dad. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ted. You did a great job. Okay, let's meet over here with friends and family for photographs and panelists. And then the last one of the day will start at 2 o'clock, and that will be Nicole. 2 o'clock will be Nicole.